And welcome back to another episode of Getting Down with the Browns, baby. What is up, Mac the Buffalo?
What is up? What is up?
As you guys can see, Manny Maxwell and Matty G are not here today. Matty G's race car bed is actually in the mechanic shop today. And Manny Maxwell is making anthrax. I mean, he is on a retreat. Um, So we are without them today. You're stuck with KFC and some buffalo chicken over there. What is up?
KFC in the buff. No, but we've already decided that if we do branch off from the mad scientist and Matty hot takes, is that's what we would go with. Now coming away from this game, I do want to say, thoughts and prayers to Sione Taki.
Yeah, for
Tore his
sure.
ACL, out for the season. That's going to be another huge hit to the linebacker room, especially
Dude,
at
we got
middle
nobody
linebacker,
over.
because it's crazy that they've all been middle linebackers here.
They really have.
Anthony Walker with the quad, Jacob Phillips, he was done for the season a couple weeks ago, and then now you have Sione Taki, who was playing pretty well.
That is true. He
At the
was. He's
Mike.
balling out.
It's
He was.
so they were speaking about it in the media. It's going to be between Deion Jones, Jordan Kunasik, in terms of getting snaps at the mic. And they did talk about Tony Fields, which we will bring him up later in
Oh,
the later in the podcast here.
for
But
sure.
he will see an expanded role after his great game yesterday.
Yeah. And before we get into that, I hear something very important happening. And it is what the Buffalo heard.
Hey, Browns fans, whenever you're cutting up clips, make sure that you're paying close attention and edit them well. This is Mac with What the Buffalo Heard. AO 2-0. Browns fans are awfully excited after they won their second game in a row, beating the Houston Texans 27-14. Even though the Browns didn't score an offensive TD, the rebuilding Texans were outmatched as Cleveland scored all of their points through defense and special teams. To celebrate such a Goliath triumph over David, fans decided to storm a nearby nursing home and beat up a group of old people. In other news, Houston PD is on the lookout for an unusual suspect that was affecting the game yesterday, the turf monster. The green artificial menace to society clearly had a bone to pick with Watson as it ate up five of his passes. Deshaun was asked about it after the game, to which he responded, "The turf monster was my biggest deterrent in this game, not the booze coming from Busby's press box." The Oxford Dictionary released its 2022 word of the year, which is goblin mode. No, this
Goblin.
isn't a phrase to describe Watson starting a new era in Cleveland, but rather has a definition of type of behavior which unapologetically and self-indulgent as well as lazy. Sources say this phrase was placed above Jed Will's locker by teammates after the game. Lastly, the Browns traveled down to Kentucky this Sunday to face the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals QB Joe Burrow has never beaten the Browns and was asked about facing Myles Garrett again this year after the blowout loss on Halloween. Burrow was quoted saying, "Yeah, I know. I already talked to my health insurance and I upped my premium." This is Mac with What the Buffalo Heard.
Heck yeah, baby.
So that
Yeah.
Oxford Dictionary thing, that's a real thing. Like goblin mode is actually the word of the year,
What's a goon to a goblin?
which is just nutty to think about. But going into this game, obviously, I think I know where you're coming from, but it was exciting to get a win.
Facts.
It was the weirdest
Facts.
win I've ever personally seen. Because here's the thing, and McNeil summed it up perfectly.
Mhm.
That meme with the drowning child, and the drowning child was Jacoby Brissett, and then you have the mom picking up Watson. But
Facts.
the defense and special teams played their best game all year. Now, granted, it was against the worst team in football, but the fact that they were
Don't matter. It don't matter.
able to overcome like such a huge obstacle on offense and still get a pretty handsome win out of it was definitely nice to see.
It was a handsome win. It was very handsome. Um, but the defense showed up, something we've really not saw all year, except a few games. But, like, we've not saw them show up like that. I know it was the Texans, and they have one of the worst offenses in the game, but to see 2 defensive touchdowns, I mean, and I don't even think they allowed it was probably less than 220 yards total. That's insane in the NFL. I don't care. Like, they're all pros. Like, there's a reason they're getting paid to play football. And I know it's a horrible team. They might be worse than the Hugh Jackson era Browns. Like, they're pretty bad. But, I'll take a dub. I'll take a
I,
dub.
you know what, as crazy as it sounds, because I know that, and I've personally spoke out against it. But it almost kind of felt like a tune-up game, and
Mhm,
I do believe, on a base level, some teams need that kind of game.
mhm.
And for the Browns, I would say on defense and special teams, they needed this tune-up game. 4 turnovers, which is the most that they've had since what week? It was week 3.
1992.
No, it was week 3 last year against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
So to see them step up like that was just awesome to see. But there was
for
also
sure.
a lot of good stuff that they can put on film.
Yeah.
They can
And
show these young guys, hey, if you do this way, if your gap sound, if you're rushing the passer and you're putting.
no, Drew, he's actually his race car bed is in the mechanic shop right now. So
Yeah, he is getting a new desk though.
he's actually
He wasn't.
constructing it right
Yeah.
now. That's actually what he's doing right now. But you know,
Um,
but anyway.
but but
But
yeah, but yeah, no.
before we go
Go
back to
ahead.
the
Yeah.
Browns, how about you guys go subscribe to our YouTube channel? We are so close to 100 subscribers. We actually took a break from the YouTube channel, like we weren't really posting to it for about 3 months until we started going live back on it. But go subscribe to that. It's Getting Down with the Browns podcast. You'll find it pretty easily on YouTube, and also go follow the Facebook page and follow us on Twitter as well. Getting Down with the Browns, and on Twitter it's at DWTB underscore. So, and we got some sick merch as well. You can see Mac right there with the sick Mac the Buffalo t-shirt. There's some new gear on there as well. So if you want to impress your lady friends and your guy friends, go cop some Down with the Browns merch.
Yeah, definitely. And two more things before we get back to the game. One, I do want to tell the audience about our bet. So KFC and I were personally talking. Ever since we released kind of new merch on the website a couple days ago. What was it, Friday?
Oh yeah, I think it's either Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, so we were talking about it, and we're gonna bring a little bit of a rivalry to this. We're gonna see who can sell the most of their personal shirts, and loser has to jump in Lake Erie at the end of the season, which you know it's gonna be about mid-February. So that's gonna
So
be really
actually,
interesting.
let's move up the bet. Let's move it up to December 16th. That's the cutoff
Why?
date because I
Why?
will be in Northeast Ohio. So if I lose, I can jump in then, which I've got to anyways. But
Well, I'm gonna be gone that weekend. That's the
well,
only thing.
you don't have to see it. I'm just gonna jump
Okay.
in. It just
Well,
has to
you
happen.
better. I mean, it better be videotaped.
Well, it
I
will
want
be. Like, you think I'm just gonna jump in and just say, take my word for it?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
You don't know me.
You don't know who I am.
Yes,
Holy
Jeff, we
crap! The show.
started on top for
Yeah,
once.
which is wild because
Hey,
Manny's
hey,
not even here, and he's the adult in the room. So
hey, guess what? His finger looking good, baby. We started on time, okay? KFC,
I,
you get it?
no,
Finger
no, no.
looking good?
Yeah, well, yeah, no, but like nobody
I'm
wants to lick
cracking
your
my head right
fingers.
now. I just shotgunned a Red Bull. I don't think you saw it,
Yeah.
but
Oh no, I saw it. That's why I
I'm
I
like,
was trying not to chuckle while I was reading off my thing here, because I just look across. I
I've
look
got
on my
another one.
phone, and I just see some like lunatic just shotgunning
You
an
already know
energy
he's
drink.
gonna lose. You already know, bro.
Bro, Brandon, what
I
should
should
wear
wear more.
more? Don't encourage him.
Yes. Yeah.
Do not encourage him.
Did you know it's
That's not
statistically
what we need.
proven that if you wear pit vipers, your testosterone shoots through the roof?
I I I don't know. And
100% fact in the book of KFC. Thank you very much, I'm amped. Let's get back to the Browns, baby. Let's
Get
go.
back to the Browns. So yeah, this defense, man, it's just jumping right back into it. No, but this defense really put a lot of good stuff on tape.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we've been talking down about Alex Wright, he got his hands up, and it's just like getting your hands up when you're pass rushing, making sure that you're in your gaps. When
Mm-hmm.
the other team's running the football, like they put some good stuff out on there. Now there are still things to tweak. They're still getting fooled by the
Well,
misdirection. I don't know what it
yeah,
is.
it's. I think they're sailing hard because they're so in tuned with
Mm-hmm.
getting the big play. We got a lot of ego guys on our defense. I've noticed that we got a lot of ego guys that want to make the play, and that's good. I love the effort. Like I love guys that want to make the play, but when they don't, they just get down on themselves.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that, and that's I think that's a lot of the misdirection thing. Is a lot of guys are like, okay, I got to make the play, and they'll oversell it.
Well, funny enough, you say that because rewatching the game today, JOK still now as great as he is
Yeah.
shooting the gap, and as great as his pursuit is, and his energy, and
Hmm.
his ability to tackle. There are some times where he jumps out of his gap, and
That is
he's done
true.
it a little bit this season. He just gets too excited. There was a toss play to his side. He was near like the left hash, and he just completely just jumped
Fold.
jumped out of the way. And when you're the guy that's supposed to be like, and that's what a lot of people don't realize about this game on defense, is that it
Hmm.
really does take all 11, because
It
if
really
one
does.
guy is out of their gap, the running back is sprung free, and then you have a big play.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. And can we just I know we said we are gonna wait a little bit, but can we talk about your boy Tony Fields? He absolutely dogged it up last game. Not gonna lie. Like two turnovers? A tutty? Like I know it was like pretty much gifted to him, but still, man, he made the play and he still had 4 tackles and a pass deflection.
Yeah, it's really cool to see a young guy get so involved in the game, especially Tony Fields.
Hmm.
He spent all of last year on IR. We
Yep.
didn't get to see any bit of him. We knew that he was going to be a big player in special teams, and we did see him sprinkled here and there. But he's gotten his opportunities, and he made the most of it in Houston.
Yep.
Sometimes for a player, all he has to do is hustle and just keep his head on a swivel. Tony
Yep.
Fields did that, and he took advantage. He made some plays out there on Sunday. The touchdown, like I don't know about you, but it was like that was the moment
2022.
that where I feel the game was safe. Now, did I watch the game all the way till the end?
Now,
Absolutely. I
can
was not leaving that pub without a win, but
you know, I just gotta say, in our group chat during the game, Matty G said the game was over when it was 5-0. Uh, that cracked me up. He
well,
said that the Houston Texans had won the game in when it was 5-0, and then moments later, Donovan Peoples-Jones took the game into his own hands, ran it 76 yards for a touchdown on a punt return for the first time since week 2 of the 2015 season. Yes.
yeah.
Shocking, Matty
Ex-
G.
expend extend DPJ.
You say expend?
I did. I was hoping you would not catch
Oh,
that,
you
but
know I'm catching your
here we
flaws,
are.
bro.
Oh yeah, for
You make
sure,
fun of me.
for sure. But yeah, I mean he's 14.8 yards per return.
Uh-huh.
This season he's done a great job.
Oh,
Because that was supposed to be Jakeem Grant. Now he was out for the season earlier in camp. Demetric Felton took over, and he's just not really that great at catching the football. And here comes Donovan Peoples-Jones, where we would see him just field the football, and we were happy.
mhm.
Now over the past couple of weeks, he's broken a couple long runs on these returns, and you knew it was coming. Now, funny enough, you bring up Matty G talking about yesterday in the group chat. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no shred of hope until that punt return, because here's the thing. if that doesn't happen, I can't say that the Browns win the game because that was the tide turner. And
Oh yeah.
there's don't quote me on the exact percentage, but it's like 40 to 60% swing when a
Mm.
team scores a special teams TD.
Oh, dude,
There's just
when
some kind of juice that it brings to you. And I will say one last thing before I let you talk.
oh,
I
you good?
need to give this player recognition.
What's it?
AJ Green with the killer block on that punt return was crazy because
Dude.
not only did he pick up his guy, he hustled down the
Mhm.
field to outrun Donovan Peoples-Jones to cut off a blocker
Yeah.
or cut off a defender, as well as another guy that was running downfield. So it was just it was a well blocked play. DPJ just made like it was absolutely electric. I would say number one if you were to rank plays all year,
Uh-huh.
that would be number one there. It was just great to see. And Andrew Berry, do yourself a favor, call his agent and just make the deal now. He's
Yeah,
got
go ahead and
he's
give him
got to
that
be
bag.
here. He's got to be here in 2023.
Oh, well, bro, he's gonna be back. I mean, he's still under contract.
He's in the 2020 class. Sorry.
Yeah, he's
Wait,
still.
no, because he's six.
I
Do they give
thought
4 years
I thought they gave
on
three
sixth
or
round?
four. I thought they gave 3 or 4. I thought he's back next year. Either way, bro, you got to bring him back
Yeah.
for sure. But going back, bro, I was I texted yesterday or earlier today. I was like, when did they drop the PFF grades?
Mhm.
Um, you want me to give you some of them defensive? I'm gonna give you the top 5 defensive grades.
I know who one of them are,
Who's
and
number
Matty
one?
G is going to be throw up. Matty G is going to throw up. Is it?
So
I think it's Alex Wright, isn't it?
number one is Tony Fields.
Number one's Tony Fields.
He had a 89.2 run defense. That's insane, bro. And he had his overall defensive grade was at 81.6. Greg Newsome, number 2, 81.1. Ronnie Harrison with an 80.9. Alex Wright, 78. And then Miles Garrett, 72.2. With Tavon Bryant barely like just a point underneath Miles with the 71.2. I think honestly that was probably one of the better games I've seen Tavon Bryant play. Like I ain't really seen him play that well this year. I mean, we've kind of ragged on the defensive tackles, and again, I do know it is the Texans, but it's good to see these guys make plays and get their confidence up because we have a really big game coming up Sunday, and like every
Big,
game
big game.
they're bigger games now. Like you started off really poor. Like I mean, the getting Watson back, I think, has helped them. I guess the confidence of the team. As weird as that sounds, like they're like, okay, we got this guy back. Had a horrible game. Let's just be real. Did not play well, but first time in 700 days. That's I didn't realize it was that long. Like I really hadn't put like a number behind. I heard 2 years, and that really don't sound like a long time, like 2 years. But
Mm-hmm.
then when you put the days to it, and I'm like, oh god, that's a long time. But yeah, the defense showed out. Like I can't give enough props. I mean, they just balled out. Even the guys you really haven't heard of, like they just balled out.
Yeah, and it was really great just to see just better run fits and everybody
Mm-hmm.
staying in their gaps. I mean, we talked about Taven Bryant.
Yeah.
He would look lost at points in the season. Either getting too far upfield or getting washed. But they have and we'll talk more about it later on in the show. But they have a tough task against them coming up with the Cincinnati Bengals because not only are they explosive on the outside, they've also realized that like, hey, we should balance out this offense. Let's run the ball a little bit more. And Joe Mixon, there's a good chance that he will be coming back to play in this game. Samaje Perine has been on fire these past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Running the football, and Zach Taylor's not going to make the same mistake. Now, if he's idiotic enough to do it, great. But he fell behind earlier in the game, and he was not trusting his run game,
Yep.
making it one-dimensional. I don't think that he's going to do that again. So this defense really has to stack off of that. Now, we talked about this, last show too. You have to stack these performances,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got to take 2 steps forward, not 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what? the defensive run game they've kind of stepped up the past few weeks, like last game only allowed 82 yards. The week before, we've been not playing the best of running backs the past few weeks, but you got to get that confidence. And I'm a firm believer in confidence. Like, if your guys are not confident when they're lining up, they're going to get blown by, because they're just not going to have the effort. When you're confident in yourself, you just play 10 times better. And like Miles Garrett, like, he didn't have the best of games last game, but you go back to the Buccaneers game. The dude, I don't know what happened to him, but he got hurt. He came back in and he was like, we're winning this game no matter what. And I freaking loved it. It fired me up being there. And I'm hoping to see that same dog again in Miles. I think it will, because he loves sacking Joe Burrow. He just loves it.
Oh, he loves it, loves it.
I think
He
it
had a
went from Big
pretty
Ben.
big
It
game
transitioned.
too.
He did.
Um,
I think it transitioned from Big Ben to Joe Burrow, like his favorite
there's just
person to sack.
been there's just been something about it. I mean, like, even in their first matchup, Burrow fumbled it after Miles sacked him. Like, Miles Garrett just straight up has Joe Burrow's number. And part of it is just due to the fact that the Bengals are such an incompetent franchise. They don't realize how important the O line is. So
Uh,
and Jeff
Jeff
brings up a
just
great point.
Jeff just said, "Call me crazy, but I think the defense will show out versus the Bengals, or versus the Bungles. My apologies. MJ and Ward are gonna shut it down. Ward, he didn't play last time against the Bengals. Neither did Jamar Chase. He didn't play, so it's on site. I can't wait for that matchup. That is what I'm looking most forward to in that game, is Jamar Chase versus Denzel Ward, because it's on site, and we all know what happened last time.
Yeah, he's
And a big shout out to Denzel Ward becoming the first player in Browns history, or is it Browns history, to have 2 fumble
yeah,
recoveries?
It's Brown's history. Because there was that guy from I think it was Troy Hill in Los Angeles in 2020. He had three. He basically had three
Fumble
fumble
recovery.
recovery for a touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the Browns though, that's insane, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah,
go
I
back,
mean,
you go back into the '80s, man. Those defenses were tough. I mean, you had guys like Clay Matthews, Hanford Dixon, Felix Wright, Frank Minifield, and then Perry. What was his first name? You know what I'm
Roger
talking about?
Perry.
Yeah. No. Defensive tackle.
Roger.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was.
No,
Thought it was Roger Perry.
that's not his first name. I know it's not. It's something cool. He had like another last name too, because they called him by like 3 letters, but I wasn't alive, so don't hold me to it. But it's just, I'm just so hot, man. I think this defense can show up. Michael Dean Perry, that's who it
Michael
was.
Dean Perry. There it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andrew with the help right there. Appreciate that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm excited. Like, I know the offense didn't show up, but again, like we said this in the chat a few times, like, there's no way Deshaun Watson can have that bad of a game again.
Yeah, correct. And just looking at it now, granted, I think part of it for me was it when you're watching the game, obviously you get emotional. You have a couple drinks in you. Everybody else is also yelling at the TV, so you get a little bit fired up.
Yeah.
But looking back at it, and again, I mean, there were 6 really bad throws. Now, one of them was caught by Kareem. It was, I would say, catch of the day for a first down, which was really, really cool to see, and see him get involved more with the offense. But 5 throws into the ground, and none of them were affected by a defender, and it's just simply mechanics.
Yeah.
Now, and here's the thing about Watson. He didn't magically just forget how to play football. It's all pressure-induced situations. You can't replicate that in practice. So,
Yeah.
the 62 snaps that he got was, extremely important to him. But, when looking at the game, there was actually, a very couple of things for him to build off of.
Mhm.
His play action was awesome. you know, RPO or I'm sorry, read option
Mhm.
was also great. But
Well, you even go
RPOs he struggled,
yeah.
and you know when he leaves his feet when he throws, he's completely off target. And you look at every single one of those throws, he leaves his feet. So if his footwork is solid, you know he can deliver pretty nice ball.
Mhm.
But you know again, it's his first start in 700 days, so you know we
Yeah.
got to see what he's looking like on Sunday
Mhm.
to
And you
really get
even
kind of a better feel for him.
you go back even to just the preseason, like, he looked alright in the preseason, but that's still 3 full months since he's even played a live snap. That's
Yeah.
still quite a bit of a long time, but, that play action pass where he threw the pick, ah, like, I've been a Jedrick Wills truther, man, and it just hurt me, man, like, I even said this
Told
in
you.
the
Told you.
I want him to be so good, man, like, he's a first round pick, he should be that guy, but, like, man, he's been
So can
lazy.
you do me a favor?
I'll admit I'm
I want
wrong.
you to
I'll
I
admit it.
no, I want you to take off your pit vipers. I want you to look directly into the camera, and I
No.
want you to tell them that the Buffalo is right because I was on this. I'm telling you, his effort is just terrible.
Well, okay, so
I
I
counted
was
three loaves.
hoping
Three loaves. You
here's
know,
what I
three
was looking
times he
at
gave up
going
on the play. It's
well, okay, so, usually that 2nd to 3rd year, that's a thing in the jump is, like, the 2nd to 3rd year jump usually happens for offensive linemen. That's usually when they start becoming that dog, and I was kinda hoping for that because Jedrick Wills was still very young player, like, he's just 23, and I was just kinda hoping, like, okay, last year he was hurt. Hopefully, he's just got that dog in him because, like, he wasn't much on social like he was. He was kinda quiet, and he's just not I just wanted to I had, like, a prediction, like, he was gonna be an all-pro tackle this year, and he's been far from it, and it's just like, man, like, had he held his block on that last or that interception, not the last play. That interception, man. Like Watson could have had a little bit more time in the pocket to read the defense instead of forcing it. And had that play developed a little more, Murray Cooper might have been wide open because the safety would have stuck with DPJ instead of sliding over. So I would just like to see a little more effort out of Jed Wills because the way it's looking, like if you're just going to be that lazy, you might as well just start James Hudson.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no point. Now Jack Conklin hasn't been great either, and neither it was Yoda Froho.
Yeah.
But at least you're blocking through the play. And here's the thing about Watson, and I think the wide receivers need to learn this as well. But with a scrambling quarterback, it's different. You have to absolutely play through the whistle. You
Mhm.
have to come back to the football. You have to extend your blocks because here's the thing. And Watson showed it yesterday. His mobility didn't disappear. It's still
Yeah.
there.
Well,
That's the one thing where you can look at his game and you say, okay, that hasn't changed
he had
because
21
he's still a
yards.
Houdini. He's still a Houdini in the pocket,
Yeah.
facing crazy amount of pressure. So you just have to play through the whistle, and that goes for everybody on the offense. They have to. Hopefully this week, and I think they will. You
Mhm.
know, I think they're gonna say, okay, let's run a little bit more scramble drill. Let's need some street racing buddy back. Yeah, yeah. By the way, wasn't that one of the most
Rashard.
ridiculous?
That
Oh
was so
yeah, no, that
funny.
was Hollywood. But the fact that they were doing that in so I don't know. You've been to Westlake. That's where the Crocker Park is.
Mhm.
Like I don't understand. You couldn't have picked a worse part
Oh, is
worst
that where it
part of.
was?
Yeah,
I didn't
it
know
was in
that.
yeah, it was in Westlake.
Well, see, like, since
Bro,
just since this
they
past
did it in a fancy. They did it in like I don't want to say like a super rich, but pretty like uppity neighborhood. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll just be perfectly fine here. Why don't you just like go out to like Lorraine or like Elyria
well, I
or
mean,
like some like
they've got the clout, man. They coulda contacted an airstrip, like, they coulda got that for him, like one of them private
bro. I don't see. I don't know about that, but like there's like it was just so ridiculous. And the whole thing, with the joint, and then like it was just
Oh, yeah,
God. It was
that coulda been very
yeah.
bad,
That
but
could have been very bad, very bad.
just I don't I still don't know a lot of Northeast Ohio because 'cause I'm not from there, But like I've learned a lot more at like the outskirt cities and like what's up with Northeast Ohio these past few months because I've been up like every other weekend it feels like, but uh, like it's cool to I didn't know that it's cool to like finally like know kind of
Yeah.
where stuff's at now.
Yeah, isn't it like a, like,
Yeah, like
isn't that the
why
vibe
would
that
you
you
do that
got?
at
What I mean,
Crocker
there's a
Park, bro?
yeah, dude, like, well, like it was just nutty to look at, but it's
Yeah.
just I mean, I'm not here to call Jedrick Wills a bust,
See, I think
because here's the
he has a
thing,
lot of
he's
like raw
good.
talent.
He has a lot of raw talent, number one, and number two, as bad as his effort is, I'd still take him over a lot of left tackles in the
Yeah.
NFL, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? Because and they even if they replace him at left tackle, I don't. It's just like,
See,
yeah,
I I
like
just see them
they're
moving him
probably
though.
not gonna they're not gonna pay Conklin, so he's still gonna have to be your right tackle.
Yeah.
And now is there where will his footwork be a little bit quicker? Probably,
See,
you
I think
know,
that
but
he'd be a better right
it's
tackle than he is a left. I know, like, I mean, it goes back to fundamentals, like you just said, but like, I just, I don't know, man. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. It hurts me to even say that about Jed because, like, I want him to be so good. Like, and we all kind of thought, like, when we drafted him, like, he would be the next.
yeah,
I wouldn't
he'd
say
be the guy.
the next Joe Thomas, but he would be that blind side, like left tackle that we've missed since Joe.
Yeah, and like
Oh,
he's
no, I haven't saw that. Mac may have. I've not watched Joe Thomas breakdown the game.
I have not either. To be honest with you, I was barely able to rewatch the game today before coming on the show. But I will definitely check it out.
Oh, another
And
good.
even and funny enough, they bring up Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas was raving about Jed, and has
Yeah,
been trying to work with this guy throughout his career. But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
yeah.
So
Well, you know, transitioning. So Anthony Schwartz with a huge fumble, last or yesterday. You know, he is now in concussion protocol, and that
really,
yeah, he's in concussion protocol right now. And I don't know how serious the David Bell injury is with his hand because he got ruled out pretty early in the game. So that really leaves you with just like 3 or 4 receivers. So do the
that
Brown
explains why. Okay, so now this is all making sense. But I don't believe Michael Woods was active yesterday, number
No, he
one.
was out. Um, he was ruled out. So, like, do you
Yeah,
think
but he's
that
a clean scratch, so
yeah,
he could
he'll be
play
back.
this
He'll
week.
be back.
Yeah.
Do you
So
think the Browns go with they did work out Kenny Stills earlier in the season. Do you think they might bring him in for another workout? Because I mean, he does have chemistry with Watson.
I mean, I don't know if you can trust Demetric Felton, but they really do
He
love
had a
Mike
lot of snow.
Woods.
He had a lot of
So
snaps.
I I I'll say this. If they do get somebody, it's gonna be a slot receiver. I don't know if it's gonna be necessarily a guy, because you have to think of scheme fit,
Yeah.
because they do want to see what I'm they raved about Mike Woods in camp,
Mhm.
and he was hampered by that hamstring, so we didn't see a whole lot of him, but they really like what he can do. They really like his attention to detail, and regarding the playbook. They really like, his hands and his wingspan. I think, he's going to get pretty decent.
Yeah, I think he'll get
Yeah,
some snaps.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Drew brought up a good point in the comments. He said, Brandon Cooks and Watson after the game, they did meet up. They had a hug, and he said he'll ball out pretty much the rest of the year. Is what Brandon Cooks said. Just wait, because I mean, it was his first game in 700 days. I wouldn't be shocked if Brandon Cooks came here, because he did love playing with Watson, and Brandon Cooks was his number one receiver, his best year of his career in Houston. So I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they got him. I think it would have to. It all comes down to the money because the Browns don't have a lot. So, but I don't know, man. Like
Yeah,
I want, I want to,
that
I want.
money.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I
of
think there'll be a
money.
lot of contract negotiations, like restructures and stuff. But I don't know, man. Like, it kind of scares me going against the Bengals and knowing you only have 3 receivers.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, Schwartz, like, I mean, he wasn't much, but he kinda you could run him out there and, like,
yeah.
put him on streaks
Now,
downfield.
now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. You do have to think about your tight ends and your running backs. Now, you're going into Cincinnati. You're going to want to use your running backs because here's the thing. I think Kevin kind of realizes that there's a guy named Kareem Hunt back there that's a little bit of an X factor on offense.
Well,
We saw a little bit more out of Kareem Hunt this week. We saw 60 rushing yards. We saw his pretty crazy good hands to catch that very low pass from Deshaun Watson.
yeah.
So you have to think about him. Is David Njoku's coming back? You have to play Pharaoh Brown.
I kinda forgot
So
about Njoku, bro. I hate
yeah,
to say that, but it wasn't even.
yeah. So I'm not necessarily worried about it. For me, I'm more worried about what's this offensive line going to do next week because they have struggled a little bit. Now Yoda Froholt obviously put in a lot of work,
Mhm,
snapping and getting used to the center position. I thought he played better,
mhm.
but you know Houston got us for a couple negative plays, yesterday.
Yep.
And one thing that jumped out to me on tape is they were doing a cocked nose. Now, what that means is that a nose tackle in the A gap at a 45-degree angle. So he's basically attacking the
Uh-huh.
shoulder of of the center instead of head up or a shade over. So Yoda Froholt did not do well against that.
Mhm.
He didn't hold his ground, but
Yeah,
yeah, no,
Jeff,
they Pharaoh Brown is in terms of his run blocking, and as a tight end, he's
he
definitely tight
did
end 3 for
yeah,
sure.
he did pretty good. He had a 76.3, I believe, PFF grade. I'll have to pull that up. I know it is a 76 for sure, but,
Mhm.
he did have a decent game, blocking like you said, and he had a couple of receptions. But, once we get David Njoku, I think David Njoku kinda keeps the defense honest too, 'cause I mean, you got Amari Cooper, you've got about double him because he's a dog, and then you got DPJ who's starting to come out, like, I mean, he's been balling lately, and but
He is just something else,
he's
man.
him. He's him.
He is something else, man, and it's insane. It is great. Like if if you were sitting there, draft night 2020, sixth round, we get a guy from Michigan, Donovan Peoples-Jones, which he was the best player in his state. Went to Michigan, coach didn't know what to do with him, and
He was misused
it was
bad.
just his pure, yeah, it was just his pure talent. He had a crazy vertical, big size, big as in like good size,
Mhm,
very like, and he has those long strides. So where it's he's got that football speed, man.
mhm.
Once he reaches his
His
top
gear.
gear, he can go,
Well, I
and
mean, you saw it on that punt return.
yeah, yeah, and just once he gets out in the open, and he's not, and it might be it just might be acceleration, but like once he hits his strides, he's gone, man, and
And
it's
he's
it's
got
crazy to
nice.
see this development.
Yeah.
Like we saw this dude that was introduced to this offense again in the game against Dallas because of his blocking. That's how this man got on the field. Not because of his what because he knew the playbook and he could block in 13 personnel to where he catches his first touchdown, which was a game winner against Cincinnati. And then he falls into wide receiver one role unexpectedly last
Last
season,
year.
and to where and we were saying this, man, you get him one-on-one coverage and he's going to do pretty well, and he's shown us that this season.
Yeah. And one thing that really impresses me about Donovan Peoples-Jones is how he can just catch stuff unbalanced. Like his feet, like the way he can just toe tap. Like he can catch stuff on the sideline like it's nothing. Like he'll reach out, snag it, and like toe tap it. And I'm like, bro, like you shouldn't be doing that as a 6 round pick. Like you
Hot
expect that
take,
stuff out like a
hot
first and second round
hot
pick.
take,
Let's
hot
hear it.
take. In
Oh,
terms of the perimeter,
mhm.
he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL.
Ooh.
Strictly, if you want go routes, something
Mhm,
along the sidelines, you get one-on-one coverage.
mhm.
He's in my top 10 for sure.
Oh, well,
He's
I
too
dig
big,
it.
he's too strong, and his balance is just nutty.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, it's just great seeing the development of DPJ, and I don't know, man. I see him playing good with the Watson. Once Watson gets his feet back underneath him, and like,
Literally,
and
because of
one
his
thing,
footwork.
yeah, and one thing like I noticed a lot is it looked like Watson was releasing the ball really late, like he's like scared to throw it in those tight windows like he was used to, like
Because
because
he's
he
not
was like,
he's not pushing it off his back leg, and that's the
mhm,
problem. It was, like if you go back, and I'm telling you, look at his throws that go into the dirt. It's, he's off balance. He's not on his feet, and he's trying all arm.
uh
So he can't, like, it's almost like he's overcompensating to the point to where he's just throwing it in the dirt.
yeah. And you could tell he really wanted to like just ball out that game. And then like midway through the second, you could kind of see like he was like, all right, I'm gonna have to get my feet underneath me and try to. But like second half, you really didn't see him trying to push the issue with throwing the ball. They ran a ton,
Yeah.
and the defense, held their own. Like we've said
Well, his
multiple times.
longest his longest pass all game was that 27-yarder to Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, I don't, outside of that one errant throw, which was just
Mhm.
a misread on Amari Cooper. We didn't really see him push the ball downfield at all.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, if you could ask me, okay, so what could Stefanski do after
Mhm.
seeing one game of Watson? Number one, get the RPOs out of there, because I don't know what it is with the handoff here and immediately bringing it to him. It's just both of them were just so bad coming out. I'd rather have him break that out next season. Like, don't even
Yeah.
worry about it. But the read option and the play
You got to keep
action,
that.
yeah, dude,
So
I'm telling, those boots, those like
you
it's
know what I want to see this week, and you've said this multiple times throughout the year too. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both on the field at the same time. Imagine, and even I mean, you got Demetric Felton back. Imagine that wishbone though. Like I know that's old school. Just imagine a wishbone with Nick Chubb,
oh,
Deshaun
dude,
Watson.
I wouldn't even go that far, because I would prefer just an extra blocker. And you just run pistol, have Kareem be the up back right beside of him, and
Mhm,
then Nick Chubb in the tailback. So now you have Kareem blocking. You can do just a basic like read option.
uh-huh.
You can have just a straight give to Kareem. Counters, regular play out. You can do so many things out of that. But it's I really do want to see Stefanski kind of simple the playbook for Deshaun, because
Yeah.
it just in the and this is the crazy part about it, is that even if Stefanski just grabs about 50% of the playbook, it's still going to look pretty damn good,
Yeah.
because these teams, they like, and granted, again, well, like the Texans were not a good team,
No.
but they had to account for Deshaun Watson,
Mhm,
and that allowed Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb to do their thing. I mean, 107. Like, if I told you right now,
mhm.
how, no matter how disappointing the offense was, guess the run total, and it's 174.
Yeah.
I mean, for a bad rushing game, for them to have 174 yards is,
Well, I think that the Texans defense, I think the Texans they were hopped up for that game because they're like, okay, we got to shut down Watson. Like, we can't let
yeah,
him come out here and do his thing against us, embarrass the franchise. His first game back in 700 games or 700 games, 700 days. Like I think they were a little bit fired up and they were kind of playing a little bit better than they normally would. So I don't know if we get that same. They might be with the Bengals. I mean, it's still it's a rivalry game. They might be amped up, but I don't think it's like to that point of the revenge type game. Like how the defense was fired up to go against Baker Mayfield. That type of,
mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like I definitely agree on that. Now, my thing is, the O line needs to step up this week,
For sure.
and they need to, like, and don't get me wrong, yes, Watson coming back is going to be great, but they
Mhm,
still need to run the absolute like piss out of the football on
mhm.
Sunday. It's really that simple because Deshaun Watson, like as much as I would love for him to just throw it all over the yard. That's
Yeah,
just not realistic right now.
yeah, for
So
sure.
run read option and run the play
So
action off of your run game, and they'll be
so
just fine.
do you think the O-line I'm not knocking on Froholt,
Hmm.
but if Ethan Posick was in that game,
Oh my dude,
do you think Watson has
like
a better game?
so first off, Ethan is bigger than Yoda for sure.
Oh, yeah, he's 6'6".
And then the other thing is that people don't like people unless you played the position, you just don't understand. Center compared to everywhere else on the O line is
Uh-huh.
just another different animal. Snapping and stepping, and I'm saying this is just two words: snapping, stepping. But to actually do that in a game with a guy that's got his hand in the grass, that's trying to beat you off the ball, it's
Mhm.
an extremely difficult thing to do, especially if you haven't been playing that position, for most of your playing career. So it's definitely a huge step back. Now, hopefully, eh, I don't. He's not out for the season, so they said IR 2 to 3 weeks. That was the Buffalo game, so probably probably get activated next week.
Ravens
So
game?
yeah, I'd say,
Sweet. I'll dig
because
it.
usually it's a mandatory 3 weeks on IR, which he was placed on. So
Gotcha, yeah. You can tell a huge difference. And, Ethan Posick, however you wanna say his name, he was a dog. Like, just to see how great Bill Ballot or Bill Callahan has, like, elevated Ethan Posick's game. It's just
mhm.
been awesome. So, it's a thing to see. Hopefully, he comes back and he just picks up right where he was.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. I think it was a knee
Also
injury,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's a
also, that
little
guy we
tough.
picked up that played with Watson in Houston in 2020,
Mhm.
is he, like, active? Like, I'm not dissing on Froholt, but, like, that might help him out a little bit, getting a familiar face under there.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it just all depends on who Bill Callahan wants to go with. Now, it the one knock on the guy that they picked up for the life of me, I'm blanking on his last name here. Um, he's not so quick off the ball either, and that's the issue.
Is
Now,
that
in
why he's
terms
a free
of
agent?
base, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, in terms of his base and pass blocking, it's pretty solid. I mean, for him to do what he did to, what? Oh my gosh, what's the? Is it Christian Wilkerson
Wilkins?
for Miami? For
Christian
Miami, the
Wilkins?
defensive tackle. Yeah, Christian Wilkins. He neutralized him that entire game last year. Buffalo versus Miami. So his base is extremely solid, but again, it's all about getting off the football, and you know, I mean, some
Yeah.
could be said about Jack Conklin too. And as much as I
Also,
love Wyatt Teller, he struggled for a little bit as well.
do you think that the guys on the O-line were just kinda lackadaisical and kinda lazy that game on the sheer fact that they thought Watson would just go off? Do you think that may have played a part into it as well?
Um, the only thing that I can really see playing a part in an online's game, it was domed and it is in Houston. So
Turf,
and
turf.
yeah, it's probably very hot on the field. And as crazy as that sounds, so Jed Wills had his worst games of the season against Carolina, which it was dead hot, and then as well as in Miami. So you
Yeah.
know it's
So,
a real thing, dude. Those
I
hogs,
figured it
man.
was
It's
turf.
hard playing in the heat.
Yeah, and I figured it was something to do with turf too. Like, I wanted to find a stat, like, on the Browns record versus teams with turf this year, because I know it can't be good.
Well, I mean that's just more in terms of like footing. You don't really see it with a lot of other players. The big ones, I mean, it's just O line, D line. That's when you
Well,
see those kind of
that's
stamina
what I'm
stamina
saying.
differences.
Yeah, that too, but, like, like turf. There has to be something about turf. Like I mean, even OBJ is like against turf, for
Well,
obvious
because it's the
reasons.
lower body, injuries.
Yeah.
Because there's the
Well,
problem with turf is that outside, so you have your artificial layer, right? Under
mhm,
that, it's concrete. There's
mhm,
no give to it.
yeah,
So when you're striking something, so think about it, you have your cleats at the bottom of your feet there. When you strike, there's no give. So you're basically like, imagine basically slapping your foot on just bare floor and then just
yeah,
throwing just a tiny little bit of, and they're like lower body non-contact injuries rise by like 75%. Like it's absolutely nuts. One of the reasons why I'm against the dome, first off,
yeah.
because I
Turf.
know yeah, I know damn well that you can't do what they do in Arizona, to where you like have the field outside and then you can like retract it in.
Yeah,
um or no, I'm sorry, Vegas does that.
I thought that
But
was Dallas.
I think Dallas does that too. I want
Yeah,
to say.
but like I mean, even talkie, like, does that injury happen if it's on grass? And even like I don't know, man. I'm just against turf. Like I've seen it even like in high school games. Like it's more likely that people will get hurt on turf. And
I've seen some nasty injuries on turf.
yeah,
I saw he was one of the fastest guys in all D3 track, Javon
mhm,
Hardy.
mhm,
He he was wide open down the field.
uh-huh,
Caught the ball. His foot got stuck in the turf while he was getting tackled,
uh-huh.
and his leg snapped.
Oh man,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
no, like
that's
turf
disgusting.
is one of the worst things. And like, if people at home listening, if you get one thing from this whole podcast, turf is the worst thing ever. And if you truly care about player safety and you care about some of these guys on the field, do not
Yeah,
get a dome, because you get dome, you get turf. And I'm telling you, ask any player, they hate playing on turf.
yeah. And do you think also, even going back to the turf thing, is or even though we're still talking about turf,
Yeah.
like, do you think it affects like when players play on grass a whole lot? Like, I mean, these teams like the Browns, home field, it's grass. And then they go to play a team with turf. Like, do you think that, like, because like even their practice facility is grass, like it's not turf.
Yeah, it's
Like that's gotta be a factor in like, because I've noticed like the Browns don't play as well when they play teams with turf. Like that's why I was asking. Like we got to find that. We need to find a stat that shows the Browns record with teams versus with grass and with turf. So, um, even though
oh, wait, hold on. Pretty sure I can easily do that. One
sweet,
second.
but yeah, like
But yeah, no, it's like turf is like, I don't understand with as and it's almost like the league is just ignoring it, because JC Treader has put out memos on just talking about turf for the past 3 years,
uh,
and they've just completely ignored him.
it's because money, dude. It has to be because like, and it's so much easier to take care of. Because like I mean, even the Browns, like you don't have that um
Yeah,
the
the
track marks,
maniac doing, yeah.
the donuts. Um, moving forward off of turf, going into this Bengals game on Sunday, it's a huge game, like we said earlier. What do you expect the Browns to do and capitalize on versus the Bengals this Sunday?
Well, the D line's going to have to win this week, because that's the biggest mismatch that you have on the field. We need another big Miles Garrett game.
Clowney.
We need a big game from Clowney. Alex Wright needs to be involved as well, and I
You
think
know,
Isaiah Thomas.
I
You
kind of
know,
liked Clown or not Clowney, Alex Wright lined up inside. Like I said that before the season started. Like I would like to see him take some snaps on the inside, and he was doing his thing on the inside.
well, I mean, go on Twitter, type in Alex Wright UAB, and you will see a lot of pass rushing snaps from the interior.
it
That's
looked
what he
good.
did best. And like, granted, was he out of position during the run? Absolutely. But he is so lanky and so quick off the ball that all it takes a lot of times is just a little spin move, and he can win on a on a slower offensive guard. So yeah, no, I would love for him to rush inside. I also noticed
Mhm.
they put Miles and Clowney on the same side on the left on
A
one
lot.
pass rush, and Kyle Allen had to get rid of the ball very quickly. So I'd like to
Yes.
see that again.
Yeah. And, we've got the pass rushers to do it. Like, I mean, Winovich isn't the worst defensive end. Alex Schrotz, he's starting to come into his own. It's good to see development there. Um, Jadavion, Miles, I mean, you throw Tavon out there every once in a while. You run 3 defensive ends. I like it. I know you don't like it having 3 defensive ends on, like, running attempts, but I like it. I know it's not the smartest thing to do, but I think that speed that they're faster, and I think the speed helps out, if that makes sense. And
Yeah. So, I mean, my only thing to it is that, and it showed a little bit yesterday. The Browns defense they're still having trouble with adjustments, with like shifting the defense when the offense motions. There's a lot of times where they kind of get caught out of place. And with as much shifting as the defensive line does,
uh-huh.
I don't know if I want to start mixing in people outside of pass rushing moves.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But let's get a score prediction as we wind down this episode.
Ooh, score prediction.
The best time of the
I
episode.
I I I want you to I
You
want
mean
you
to
to
go?
go first. Yeah, I
Okay.
want you to go first.
So I think the Browns win this one because we have to. It is a must win, and I think that they've got that spirit in them right now. And the word hope that Mac loves so much. I think they've got the swag right now. I think that the Browns defense has a big game again, and I think the Browns win 28, Bengals 24. Actually, I lied. Browns 900, Bengals 2.
What are you what are you doing scores like CBD?
I love Nathan Segura so much, man.
Dude.
He is the
Yeah,
best thing
I
about
was
the
about to
Cleveland
say,
Browns.
oh, he is, dude. I used to it's awesome because he's worked for the Browns for a long time, and he used to do the 2-minute drill after
They still
games.
does.
And like,
Oh, after games.
well, yeah, but I mean, he started doing that like way back when, back when the Browns were like mediocre every single year. Um, but and I'm not just saying this to just drone on because I don't want to like unveil my score just yet. But it's man, I mean, they have to absolutely win this week or they're out. That's the only
Yeah.
chance they have left is to win out here. Um, I mean, my heart wants to say that they win, but my brain says no.
Okay.
I just don't like. I think the Bengals D line is going to take advantage of the poor play of Jack Conklin and the terrible effort by Jedrick Wills, because Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson are one hell of a pass rush tandem that
Mhm.
not a lot of people talk about.
Mhm.
Um, I think the Bengals win, but close. I think it's going to be like 24-17 Bengals.
Mm. Well, hopefully you're wrong. Um, Hopefully the Browns win and playoffs hopes stay alive. And I think that's a great way to end the episode.
Oh, also,
Also,
geez, dude, we keep forgetting about this.
what?
Predictions, people, like add us on Twitter, like go in the comment section, like correct, like we're waiting for a winner here. We're waiting, like, because we can't just give it out for somebody that doesn't correctly predict the score. So
Yeah.
we're waiting. KFC and I are waiting. We are
Yeah.
tapping our watches. We are waiting
Yeah. And
for
also,
a winner.
once we get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, we're giving out a t-shirt too.
Oh yeah, dude. And
Ooh.
I was gonna say we were gonna shoot it out of a cannon, but that's just absolutely unrealistic.
No,
We would
it's
have to
not.
mail it. So
We can shoot it out of the cannon to their house, aka USPS.
Yes,
It
absolutely,
may take a couple.
absolutely.
It may take a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Honestly, so me and you have done this, done the graveyard shift together before, right?
Yeah,
I think there was one other time.
yeah, we've done this a few times.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look at us, man, starting on time, enough content to cover a whole episode here. I thought it was pretty good. What?
Yeah, nothing.
Oh,
But
you just looked
yeah,
shocked, and I was like,
I'll tell you later. I'll tell you after the episode. Uh, it's
oh,
funny. Uh,
okay.
yeah, but yeah, just add us with the score predictions. I'll have the tweet out on game day. We'll say drop your score predictions. We'll give out if you're correct, no close, has to be spot on, and we'll send that shirt. And that's a great way to end the episode this time. And go Browns.
Go Browns, baby.